Hello, Cooper Clever 1972 here, also known as Brian. So we're we're keeping up with the Saw movies. Saw 5 is the current one I watched today. I think I was a little more impressed with this one than Saw 4. Um, it seemed like a lot less lazy filmmaking. It didn't use like those snapshot um, sh- editing, rapid snapshots that a few of the other ones had previous to this, and it seemed a little more interesting. It didn't seem like a regular episode of like CSI or Law and Order kind of. It had a little more vitality to it, in my opinion. Um, Again, it has some twists and turns in it, and even though which one was it? Saw Saw 3, I believe. You know that something happens to the main character, John slash Jigsaw, but he still comes back in recurring movies. Well, not recurring. He comes in the next ones, but it sort of goes back to the past and unfolds another part of the puzzle. And unfolds another leaf. It shows something that we didn't know before. Um, like exposing some of what happened in Saw 2, like how it was set up, and people that are villains in a different way, not like violent criminals, but more like corporate criminals in this one, mostly corporate criminals. I guess you can say they're corporate criminals. They're people business people. I think some of them are. The starting of the film is sort of like the pit and the pendulum, and I'll just leave it at that. Um, I will say that these films, if I don't know, I mean, if you don't like films that have like, and it's kind of, I don't know if it was hard for me to watch these films so far, but it's kind of wince-inducing in some areas, and there's cutting through flesh and pulling of flesh and blood, going all over the place, um, and this one has kind of a really violent ending. This one that, well, not that the other ones don't, but I mean, this one has a pretty violent ending to it. Um, and there's this police detective that's been honored with finish wrapping up the Jigsaw murders and putting the case to bed, but it turns out it's not quite what you think. So I'll leave it at that. So I give this film probably, let me see, I would give it, uh, I did say 3 for Saw 4. I'm going to say 3.5. But I'm not saying that this is like the greatest set of horror films. I mean, this was done much better in films like Seven or Zodiac. Those films are much higher caliber than this. So if you want to see an intelligent movie, these are not necessarily dumb movies, but they become kind of repetitive. But yeah, Seven is definitely a better film than this, and it sort of treads on the same material, like this, like one of the victims slash villains, if you will, because they're being subjected to torture by Jigsaw because of the way they've lived. This guy's fat, and he's, I guess, in order to defuse a bomb, and I think a lot of them it's defusing a bomb, but in order to defuse the bomb, um, they have to go through a series of pain tests, like cutting with themselves with a razor or hurting their arms or, just all these sorts of things. He has to go through some barbed wire, and that's got to be lifted from Seven. When at the start of the film, when they're one of the 7 victims of the serial killer. You know, he has the fat guy at his the dead fat guy at the table, and his legs are, I think it's his legs are are twisted up with I think it's barbed wire. You know, so I don't know how original Saw really is, but it must have been quite a phenomenon because I mean they made 7 films and then they made Jigsaw, so I guess I don't know how many incarnations of these Saw movies they made. Um, I guess they made 8 so far. If maybe there's a ninth, I don't know. If you know, just put your comment down below. But and I'm thinking of taking Jigsaw out. The library where I live has a copy of it. Maybe I'll take it out at some point. I don't know if I'll do it for this Halloween marathon, but who knows? I'm not. I don't know if I'll really do that. But anyways, so that does it for today. I was asked by some filmmakers on YouTube. You can see in the comments of one of my videos. They asked me if I could review a film for them. So I'm probably going to do that on this coming Monday, or maybe earlier even. So be on the lookout for that. I think I'm also going to do my weekly Saturday films I've watched during the week, and I won't include the horror movies. I mean, I might include the just regular movies that I watch. And there's one movie that's expiring tomorrow night at 3 a.m. Eastern time, and it's a documentary about I don't know if I'm saying his name pronouncing his name correctly, Ruchi Sakamoto, who was the one of the composers for The Last Emperor, and it's a documentary about him. It looks I just looked at the trailer. It looks very interesting. It's on one of my streaming sites, and there's a few other films on that. Well, it happens to be Mubi that streaming site is on. That those movies are on, and there's some coming up that I'd like to watch, and they're not really horror films, I don't think, but I'll have to, watch a horror film a day and that, and try to, get through all of it, So I guess until the end of this month, I've got my hands pretty full. So anyways, check out my GarageBand videos, with my guitars or one guitar or sometimes 2 guitars, my MIDI keyboard, and the drums sometimes added in, and look at my blog. I don't want to go on too long because I think I've said what I've had to say. And anyways, enjoy Halloween, enjoy October, watch some scary movies. Bye. See you soon.